right, so now that we have been talking about the skin, okay, we've talked about the follicle a little bit, but let's focus on that just a little bit more. Now let's keep in mind the structure of the follicle. We've got the follicle, we've got the artery and the vein supplying the nourishment to the hair follicle. You have all of the sensory receptors attached to that as well. The sebaceous gland is attached to that. All of this is all in one spot. Here you don't see the sensory receptors diagrammed because that's not what we focused on here, but know that these are also in here. So if you combine these two diagrams together, you're able to see the actual picture of what it looks like under the skin. So we're going to be focusing on the hair follicle now, okay? So this is the sheet that you need to be working on next. So we're going to be cutting these into 4 in just a quick second. This is a normal follicle and a sebaceous gland, and then we're going to go through different stages. The closed comedo, you're going to have an inflamed papule and then a yellow pustule. So we're going to go over how this happens, why this happens, and what you can do to avoid some of these things. We have all had this happen to us. So what we're going to do, now don't cut the title off, so be careful of cutting the title off. So you're going to go right underneath this section here, above the circle of the hole punch, okay? And you want to keep them in order. So these bottom 2 are going to be on this side and these top 2 are going to be on this side. Okay, so we're going to cut these here. Okay, so we have a normal and we have a closed. So let's start with those 2 first. Now my glue did dry up on me, so I'm just going to go ahead and tape mine here, okay? So here we have a normal follicle, okay? So here's the follicle. This is the follicle wall, okay? Right here. Gonna try to keep it as basic as I can, okay? This here is the surface of the skin, as you can see here, okay? This here is the epidermis, which is the top layer of the skin, right? The subcutaneous, all of that, those 5 layers, that 1 layer, it bumps up, the last layer falls off and sheds, and it regenerates. So that's the epidermis, right? Okay, this is within the dermis down here, okay? So here, this little sac-like bubble that you see here, attached to the follicle wall, is the sebaceous gland, the oil gland. This is where oil excretes from. So when you put your hand, if you were to put your hand up on top of your head, okay, your forehead, you're going to see that when you bring it back, your hand is shiny. And the reason why it's shiny is because throughout the day, sebum, so oil, has been coming out from the sebaceous gland. So it produces in this gland, and then it comes up through the pore and lays on the surface of the skin. If you do not wash your face, okay, if you continue to put layers and layers and layers of makeup on. Some of you guys like to put makeup on in the morning, and then like throughout the day you take out your sponge and you just wipe more makeup over the top of your already done makeup, and you keep doing that, and your sponge at the end of the day is like brown gray looking because so much oil, you have picked up so much oil, dirt, and debris that has accumulated on your face and sweat and things of the sort, and now your sponge is dirty. And then some of you don't wash that and then use that and do that same process again the next day. That can cause issues for your skin, okay, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Inside of your follicle wall, you have these cells, which I'll do in red, and you have cells that line the skin and the follicle, the inside of the follicle, okay, naturally. It is important to know and understand that this pore needs to have access to, for the hair to grow out. So this is where our hair would grow out, right? Like so. if the hair, okay, I'm sorry, if the pore gets clogged and there's no access for the hair to continue to grow and for the oil to continue, the sebaceous gland to continue to excrete the oil, you're going to have issues with your skin. So, a closed comedo, let me tell you about that. We're not going to go back and color everything exactly, but here are our regular cells. When you wash your face and you scrub, whether you're using a sponge or whether you're using some kind of something with a grit, maybe not even that, maybe just the palms of your hands, that's okay, but there's no scrubby, scrapey, anything on your hands. So every now and then it's good to use some type of a sponge with a little bit of grit to it, not too much, be gentle on your face, but something that's going to help scrape up all of the dead skin that accumulates, because here you can see the dead cells that accumulate over time, okay? They will accumulate in the follicle. Now notice how thin this follicle is. It should be this thin, normally. When this top layer, here's the pore, when this pore, okay, is clogged on the top layer of the skin and nothing can come out, whether you have a hair there or not, or you waxed or shaved or whatnot, if these dead skin cells continue, see how there's just a row right here and here starting to be more dead cells? If these dead cells here continue to accumulate, okay, what happens is that this is going to begin to back up. The dead cells are going to clog the pore, and the pore is no longer going to be able to push things out. It can't do that. So what happens is you don't scrub the dead skin, the dead cells away, or you've got dirt and debris and layers of makeup and you use all kinds of lotions and you don't really cleanse your face, or you don't use makeup cleanser to remove the makeup and then facial cleanser to wash your face. You just use facial cleanser to remove the makeup, which we know that does not work. It's not made for that. When that happens, you just accumulate stuff, junk, on top of the top layer of the skin, and it clogs the pore. When it clogs the pore and the pore is clogged, the dead cells are not able to come out of the follicle. They begin to back up and accumulate inside of the follicle. These are the dead cells. When there's no opening, okay, what happens? It backs up, okay? So that takes us into, this can be fixed. Exfoliate, you get a facial, you get a little bit of suction done. We're going to go through all those machines here soon. You can fix that. We're still in a spot where we can make this okay. Okay? Keep in mind, not only are the cells accumulating here, but in this sebaceous, and I think this is the wrong color, but in this sebaceous, yes, it is the wrong color. This sebaceous gland right here that we talked about here, the oil is still generating here. It doesn't stop just because this is clogged up. It continues and it backs up, it backs up. So I failed to mention that, okay? So let's move on to the next two. What continues to happen if you don't fix it here? This is normal, healthy, what it should look like. Exfoliated, clean skin every day. And then this is when we start to see problems. So let's split this in half. And let's cut this down. And then let's add this. Our inflamed papule is next. And then we have our yellow pustule. Okay. So again, okay, so we didn't add our title, but we're going to add that in just a minute. Okay, so now here we have our inflamed papule. So again, it's the same picture, it's just, progressing here. The situation's getting worse. Hey, you start with healthy skin. You sweat, you don't exfoliate, you add layers of makeup, you don't wash your face in the morning and at night, you don't remove makeup with makeup remover, etc., etc., etc. You put makeup over makeup because yesterday you went to sleep late. Today, this morning, you put layers of makeup over that. You begin to clog your pores, stuff begins to back up. It does not stop producing. We're here. You continue to do that. You do not exfoliate. You do not scrub off the dead skin. You do not cleanse. You do not get facials. You do not do all of what's necessary to fix this to get back to here. So now we're progressing. Now we are here. So here we still have the follicle wall. But see how thin it started and how it's getting a little bit full? So here we have all of the dead cells exploding through the follicle wall because the follicle cannot take any more. Okay, we've got the dead skin cells here. Now, what do you mean it can't take any more? Well, let me remind you. All of this and all of this is under the skin. Here's the follicle. I apologize, my light just went out. Okay? Whenever you are thinking about, I apologize, had to turn the light back on there. So whenever you're thinking about, let's look at the arm. Now my arm is pretty hairy, okay? If you think about every single hair on your entire body, every single hair, one hair has one follicle. This system right here for one hair. All of this is under the skin. There's only so much space in there. So when your pore is clogged and those dead skin cells start to accumulate, this follicle that is designed to only be this thin starts to get chunky and filled up and backed up. Eventually, it can't go anywhere and it explodes like a balloon. A balloon can only take so much air, okay? So here you still have the follicle. It's closing. It's clogged pore. There's nowhere for any of this to come out, okay? So what happens is it explodes sideways. All of this explodes out underneath into the dermis. Because remember, this is the epidermis, this is the dermis, okay? Our follicle wall breaks. And now we have damage to our follicle. And now our body needs to repair, okay? With this, they call it a rupture explosion, is what it's called here, okay? There's dead cells in here, and let's go ahead and highlight that so you can see there's dead skin cells in here. They're dead cells. There's hair follicle bacteria, okay? As far as for when this happens, when it can no longer take anymore, it's going to drain, okay, into the dermis. Not necessarily affecting the epidermis too much right now, but within the dermis, okay? So, all of this goes inside of the body. This is where our white blood cells come in and they fight the good fight. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to highlight these with, so these, let's say that these little chunks here are our white blood cells. And our white blood cells are going to come in and they're going to fight the bacteria. Remember, because all of this is starting to, create the bacteria and we need to fix this. At this point, okay, you're going to feel a red, it's going to look red, okay, it's going to definitely look inflamed, a small red bump, we call it an inflamed papule, okay, and it might hurt to the touch, because this is definitely altered now, so it might definitely hurt, okay. Sometimes it hurts a lot just by barely touching it, depending on the gravity of it, and sometimes it doesn't hurt as much, but you can definitely see the red color. Sometimes it doesn't even look red. You just feel like, oh man, I got something right there, but you don't see a different color to your skin, okay? This you can't fix. You can help it by exfoliating and trying to, give it some time to mend. By eating healthy, drinking plenty of water, you can help your body deliver more of the white blood cells and have a good healthy body so that the wall can heal faster. But if you eat a bunch of junk, then if you put a lot of junk in your body, then you have junk in your body and you're not going to be able to repair as fast. So then when you want nice, good looking skin, you're not going to have it because you're not feeding your body the correct nutrients it needs to repair itself when things like this happen. So from here, we started healthy, we did not so great, we didn't fix it, so then now it's getting bad and now it's going to get worse, okay? This is going to be, and again, following the same, we're still in the same picture, it's just showing you the progression of it. We're still working here This is our epidermis, which is the top. This is where it's now being affected. So here the pore, the follicle is closing, okay? It's clogged up. Here the pore is trying to close so that more bacteria does not get in, okay? So naturally, you'll see the opening here. It's starting to squeeze in a little bit more. So now this is where the epidermis part is starting to kick in into effect. Now, keeping in mind that our sebaceous gland still is producing. It does not stop. Nothing tells it to stop. It's still producing, which is why you notice this is chunky, but this is chunkier. You're like, well, wouldn't this stop because it's coming out? Yeah, but this is still producing. It's still clogged up. It's closed up so the bacteria doesn't get back in, and so the body's trying to fix it. We've got our white blood cells right here coming in for the defense. Now they're going through the follicle wall that you see here, okay? Going into that follicle, trying to heal, mend, repair. Then you still have all of these dead cells that are all in here, okay? They're still going out into the body, but now the white blood cells are coming in and killing the bacteria and it's trying to fix itself. Okay, this here is a yellow, let me get this color, colors here. This is a yellow pustule. It has small red bumps with yellow caps. So this could be like a pimple per se, okay? So here, and I'll make it in yellow, kind of a weirdish yellowish color, this is where the pimple can start to create, because this here now is nothing but bacteria, okay, because now it's infected here and it's wanting to come out. So it's closing itself so that way it can repair itself, but we've also got to get rid of that to help it. And that's when we're going to get into next week when we start doing our facials and things and treatments and things of the sort. When the comedo ruptures, the white blood cells are going to move in like we started here. They're going to eat. They're going to consume all of the dead blood cells that you see, all the red cell, or all the red little pieces here. And orange, so I colored it orange here as well. Okay, so it comes to aid. Okay, the white blood cells are very, very important. That's why you have to feed your body good, healthy stuff so that you can have good immune system, so that you can fight these types of things and have healthy skin. Never have you seen someone that has a really bad diet have beautiful skin. It doesn't go. Does not go. Okay. When this happens, okay, you can open the pustule with a sterilized needle. You want to drain it. You don't want to squeeze it because then you further damage the areas around. You can cause a bruising. You can cause hickey-like marks onto when you're pinching at it, and we'll go more at it in just a little while when we start getting into these facials. Some states do not allow you to use lancets and things of the sort. We're going to go over that as well, what TDLR recommends for this state. And then what you can or can't do in schools, and then I'll expose you some things that you can't do in school, but you can do in industry once you are licensed. You always have to make sure when you're dealing with this type of situation, especially when you've got the pus already in there, you want to make sure to wear gloves. We went through infection control chapter. We have already gone through the whole, keeping everything clean, safe, and sanitized. You want to make sure that you wear gloves and throw everything away and sanitize, disinfect, sterilize everything, okay? So, you usually want to make sure that you treat this, you take care of it. The pimple will eventually go away, but sometimes it will leave a scar. So if you don't want to have a scar, acne type scars, if you don't want to get to this point, then you need to understand that you need to maintain your body, your skin, epidermis, dermis at this point. How do you do that? Wash your face, okay? You want to not add layers and layers and layers of makeup and gunk on your face. You want to exfoliate. You want to use makeup remover to remove makeup and remove it completely every time before you go to bed. Change your pillowcases. Drink plenty of water. Eat lots of vegetables. Or I guess you can drink your vegetables. Eat lots of vegetables. Stop eating the junk. Get rid of the sugar. Okay? All of those things you can do, and it's very easy to do. And if not, here are your consequences. At some point, you can help avoid getting to this spot. But if you don't do anything in between, this is where you'll be. This is where your client will be. This is typically when your client comes in. So you as a service provider need to teach your client, this is what happens, but let's give you some facials to fix it, and then let's talk about what you need to do lifestyle-wise so you can maintain here. And when you come get facials, it's just for relaxation, not to fix. Okay? All right, so go ahead and take these notes. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do our title. Follicles. I don't think I really have a, let's do healthy and unhealthy. And the skin. So healthy and unhealthy skin. Okay? So please understand, okay, you can avoid this, you just have to want to avoid it.